In this video, we will start the blocking stage of our run cycle. To create this run cycle, we will mix the layered approach with the blocking approach. In this video, we will create the main poses before jumping into spline and polish each part of the body one by one. Note that nothing is carved into stone and those poses might evolve during the polishing stage. It's important to use the video reference you will gather on the internet, and to guide you during this blocking stage, I'm providing a picture with the different main poses. The last thing I'd like to address before we jump into it is that most of the time I'm using global coordinates with individual origin for my manipulators. But I often use local space, especially for the forearms that can rotate only along one axis. So I generally press R to rotate and then Z twice to switch to local space. This is why you will often see me press Z, Y or X twice to switch from global to local. If you are used to work with widget manipulators, then I advise you to directly switch to local space. This way you will get more familiar with the controller alignment. I personally exclusively use Shortcut. This is why I often stay in global space. The idea is to create a slightly stylized run cycle, but the fundamentals of a realistic vanilla run cycle will be there. Making it stylized will be mostly about contrasting the timing and exaggerating a bit the poses. But making it look cool will require us to have good physicality and realistic fundamentals. So let's get started. The first thing we are going to do is to link our character into the scene. So let's get rid of all the default objects in our scene and then go to File, Link, and in the Chapter 5 file, you will find the Trident Character Rig final file. Go to Collection and choose the first collection, Trident Character. Double-click the collection and it will appear in the outliner. Now, to be able to expose the rig of our character, unfold the imported collection and right-click on the sub-collection, go to ID Data and choose Add Library Override Hierarchy. This will give us access to the current rig and the different objects of the character. And if any update were made on the original linked file, it will automatically update in your scene. We have now a new character collection with two sub-collections, including the rig and the different models. We can get rid of the file we've imported just before, the one with the orange collection icon. From there, we can select the rig, switch into pose mode by pressing Ctrl Tab. Then when animating, I personally like to switch the shading to flat with texture object and enable the cavity and shadows. In the 3D View Properties panel, you will find the Rig Properties panel. Here, in the Visibility tab, you can disable the weapon's visibility. Set the length of our cycle, 24 frames. So I will go on frame 0 and press Ctrl Home, and then go on frame 23 and press Ctrl End. Since frame 24 and frame 0 will be the same, I don't want to read from frame 0 to frame 24, but jump from frame 23 to frame 0. There, with the dope sheet opened, I will switch to the Action Editor, and I will duplicate the current animation called Keying Set to create our run blocking animation. Don't forget to click the shield icon to make sure you set a fake user to the animation and won't lose it. Another thing I advise you to do before we start blocking the animation is to create a second 3D viewport in perspective showing your character. While we generally animate in orthographic view, that's always a good thing to have a perspective view just to preview the animation. So let's now create our first pose, the straight leg pose. This is the one where the front leg is getting straightened just before contacting with the ground. The back leg is pointing backward, and as seen in the video reference, the front arm has already started swinging backward. So from a side view, you should be able to see both elbows. Left shoulder is twisting forward and the hips are twisted in the opposite direction. For the animation of this character, we will be using 30 frames per second. This is the usual frame rate used in video games production and the one I'm used to animate with. Goal is only to work on cinematic animation, then you can stick to 24 frames per second. In the end, whatever the frame rate, the goal is to make your animation feels good. It's not that important during the blocking stage. So we can now start positioning the feet from a side view. When it comes to rotating the foot backward and forward, I advise you to use the foot roll controller, rotating it on its X local axis. Will make your life way easier since it's built to create this kind of rotation and mechanism. Since we won't be animating the root bones, you can hide them through the rig UI. Now pose the second foot, again using the foot roll to rotate the foot forward and then rotating the toes backward. Usual, I will probably go back and forth onto this pose while building the other poses. In your case, just use the reference provided or build your own poses. It's very important to pose your character from different angles. Don't stay in side view, that will be a big mistake. When it comes to twisting the hips on the global z-axis, it's pretty straightforward. Just follow the position of the legs. Since the right leg is forward, just twist the right side of the hips forward. Then the torso the opposite direction, the left side forward. A very important thing here is that the torso root controller will be your main controller to position the torso of your character. This is the controller you have to move the most to get your character into position. Then the chest and hips controller are here to tweak the pose of your character. And this is why here I prefer to cancel the rotation of hips and chest by pressing Alt-R, the main shape, using the torso root controller, and then tweak the pose using the chest controller and the hips controller. It can be very hard to get a correct pose. In my case, I won't be able to reach it right away. So try your best to match the reference, and then go on the next pose. You will naturally get back to this pose to adjust it compared to the other poses. Posing the arms will definitely help to get a better silhouette. I will slightly rotate the front shoulder upward and forward. And then I will work with the arm controller that can rotate on all axes to match the reference. When rotating the forearm, don't forget to favorize its local z-axis, since elbows and knees can normally rotate only on one axis. To make our life easier, we will pull the hand with a closed fist. Watch your own hand as a reference and make sure that the fist is slightly curling. Don't make a box shape with the hand. Look it from every angle and you will notice that the joint always form a curve. Take the time to properly pose one of the hand and then we will mirror it on the other side. My favorite controller for the hands is the Master Palm controller. It allows you to move all the palm bones at once with a nice fall off and build nice base and shapes. There I will curve each finger, rotating them on their local x-axis. The first joint is supposed to be rotated almost at 90 degrees. Then I will pose the thumb and then adjust the finger accordingly. As explained in the very beginning of the video, it's better to enable cavity and shadows onto your flat shading so that you can see the geometry a little better and betterly read the pose. Again, take the time to create a nice pose, adjust each joint, don't forget to slightly compress the palms inward, and then adjust the thumb position. There are different poses for a closed fist, depending on the people and the reference you are watching. The best reference still being your own fist, because you can see it from every angle and you can also feel the pose in your own hand. Once we have reached a satisfying pose, we can select all the hand bones controller, press Ctrl+C to copy the pose, and then Ctrl+Shift+V. This will automatically mirror the pose on the other side. With my finger posed, I can now readjust the position of the arms. Don't forget you can both rotate and move the shoulder controller, and that the arm controller can be rotated in all directions, while the forearm controller should be rotated only along its Z local axis. You can slightly rotate the hand inward to break a bit the wrist and get a more appealing shape for the arm. Don't go too extreme, because your wrist motion is pretty limited. Take a few seconds and try rotating your fist forward and backward, and then try to rotate it from left to right. You will see that its motion is currently very limited. Posing the right arm is pretty straightforward. Don't forget to check your pose from the front view and realign the knees and the feet if needed. Don't forget to double check the reference I have provided and rewatch the previous video where we have broken down the run cycle poses using real life references. In the neck, it's important to switch to neck follow instead of head follow. Way the base of the neck gets aligned with the torso, which is more natural, and then we can tweak its position and tweak the head position. From there, don't forget to slightly tweak the position and orientation of your foot, of your knees, and we finally have our first pose done. As explained in the beginning of this video, this might not be the final straight leg pose, but that's a good start to work onto the next one.